Hey, what's going on, guys? So today we're taking a look at a flashlight. Thought this guy was pretty cool, and if you notice, I did put the included lanyard on here, which has a little carabiner on the end. And I just did it just because. In fact, this is a huge pain in the butt. You have to take the pot clip off and fish this through. They give you like a little smaller, I don't know, like a wire to kind of, grab the 550 and pull through. Anyway, it seems to work fine. A lot of times when I'm holding it, I'll put it between my pointer finger like this. It actually adds a little bit of grip, and it's nice just to have the option to clip this on something real quick as well. And obviously you don't want this whole thing pulls off, right? So not a big deal. But anyway, so this one is from Nitecore, all right? And this one is called the EDC33, which has got a nice little ring to it. Also says Lumen Shield on the side. So the whole kind of catch of this guy is you have two major modes. There are some different, minor modes like output changes, lower outputs if you want. But this essentially has the best of both worlds in that you have a search mode. The search mode is basically all throw. It has naturally a little bit of spill, but it concentrates that beam for distance, right? But then you have the shield mode, right, which is all flood. So it keeps that same mode on, but it turns on other LEDs. They give you more flood that's all around. So that's actually really cool. So let's talk about how to use it real quick. There's a button on the back, so we have a tail clicky. All right, so just a half press is your search mode. That has basically, you can see a hot spot in the middle. And it's quite bright, by the way. The full output on this is 4,000 lumens, which is ridiculous. But let me turn sideways so you can see it. So half press is that search mode. If you press all the way in, it adds the extra LEDs that gives you the shield, right, or flood. So there's the one mode, push all the way in the second mode. So the first thing I have to tell you after practicing and using this and testing it out and stuff is that head gets hot. Now some flashlights give you a little warning. You can see on there, come on, focus. See a little hot warning? Well, they ain't kidding. You can cook eggs on the end of this thing. All right, this thing is ridiculous. So for me, it becomes a little bit of a negative. So when I'm using this light, right, I have to choke way back here on the light because when I naturally just grab the light, the bottom of my hand, like I'll show you right now. Let me turn it on the full blast. Right, I'm holding it, it's getting hotter, it's getting hotter, it's getting hotter. It's getting almost uncomfortable now. Okay, now it's uncomfortable, and that's it. I can't keep holding it. So I have to choke back on it. All right, so that's kind of an important deal because you can burn yourself on it. It gets hot enough where you can sizzle your fingers. That's no joke. All right, definitely not something that should be accessible on your countertop or something to little kids. Little kid gets this thing for some reason, just pushes all the way in, holds it, gets hot. They can burn themselves. Okay, so just be aware of that. But I think it's really neat in that it has that, all throw, and then like, oh, you know what, I want to see a little more ambient light, and then just that's it, push another, or push it all the way in, and then you go from, the search mode to the shield. That's pretty darn cool. So to change modes, let's say you don't want all those 4,000 lumens, you just push all the way in, turn it on, and then you half press to change through your lower settings, right? So low, medium, high, and then like, turbo or whatever. And then I'll full press all the way down to shut it off. Now you notice I turn it all the way to low. You can see there is a mode memory function. All right, so let's say you leave it on, high, whatever, you shut it off, turn it back on later. It's in that same mode. So because you have the full 4,000 lumens by pushing all the way in, you might have like a preference, let's say, to keep it in the second to lowest mode. So you turn your light on, constant on, whatever, and you have that. But you want to, access those other higher modes, you certainly can by a half press or a full press, right? But if you turn on constant, it goes back to that lower mode. So, you can play around with this, whatever you like. I kind of just like it as high as it gets because when I use a flashlight, I kind of want as most light as I can possibly get. If I'm inside, I definitely want those lower light modes. And I've talked about that in the past, especially indoors. If you have like glossy paint in your house and you hit that wall with 4,000 lumens at 5 feet away, you're not going to be able to see much because it's refracting a lot of that light into your eyes. If there's such a thing as too bright. And it's kind of like with knives. There's such a thing as too sharp where it slides on stuff instead of bites into it and cuts it, right? So anyway, I do like the fact that it has, the throw or the flood. That's a cool feature. If you notice on the side here, there's a switch. So they have a half lockout mode and a full lockout mode. So because this thing gets super hot, I think this is fantastic, especially if you have little kids. So just flick the switch up, all right? I'll give you another shot of that. You can see a little lock symbol there. So unlocked, locked. Really simple. When it's locked, nothing happens. Let's back out again. All right, just show you that. Nothing happens, half press, full press. It's fully locked out. They have an option for a half lock, which is really interesting. Never heard of that in my life, but basically if you push this, turn the light on, right, and you push it halfway in and then lock it while you're holding it halfway in, now you have a half lock. What the half lock does is it allows you to use this with the momentary on in both the throw and the flood, but you can't just turn on constant. Does that make sense? I don't know when you would use that mode. Let's say you want to access it real quick, but I don't know, maybe you want to put it in your bag and not have it turn on permanently. I don't really know. Interesting though, but you just flick the switch on and off and then you're back to normal, so you can actually just turn it on. All right, but I do like the physical lock that's on the side. I think that's actually a huge attribute to this light, specifically because its head gets so incredibly hot. Now, if you look into the business end here, you can see the main LED in the middle, all right? And you can see we do have a stippled reflector there. So what's happening is the main LED in the middle is emitting when you turn on constant and change your modes. When you push all the way in, or have a full press, that's when the other LEDs turn on as well, which brings in all that flood. Now, if you notice that little black dot there, that is a proximity sensor. So again, kind of a safety feature here. If this flashlight is close to something, it automatically dims the output. Okay, so let's say you have that 4,000 lumens, but you get close to something, it ends up dimming it so that you don't have all that heat up against something, okay? Looking back at the Olight, that burn pockets and all that kind of stuff, I mean, this all comes up. Flashlight companies, they all look at each other's stuff all the time, and they're coming up with different things to better products, right? That's constantly what any company's doing. How can we make our product better and cheaper and make more money and sell more of them and all that kind of stuff? Proximity sensor is very good, again, as a safety feature. So, yeah, what else is there to talk about? As far as charging, the whole top actually rotates. This is kind of interesting too. All right, so we could see the little arrow there. The whole thing rotates to expose our charging port. All right, so when you're charging it, you don't have to take any little rubber caps off that, are a pain in the butt to push back on or worry about any of that kind of stuff. You rotate it, it's out of the way. It's not exposed to dirt and the elements and stuff. And when you want to charge it, you rotate it back and it's exposed. Plug it in, you're good to go. USB-C to USB, and that's it. Pretty simple. All right, we do have a couple little notches here, so this can tail stand. I know you guys, some people don't like this little placemat here. You guys let me know in the comment section. You like the placemat, don't like it? It just kind of breaks up a little. But anyway, on a flat surface, it does stand totally fine. All right, this is not a flat surface. And by the way, this is, someone said, like, who has wicker furniture? This is seagrass, just so you know. Okay, pinky up. Wicker's for your grandma, seagrass is for 2024. But anyway, this is just temporary. My wife liked these, and I dig it. It's kind of a summery thing, even though we have it in the winter, but I'm sure we'll change them out eventually anyway. So yeah, I mean, I like the light overall. These sell for $69.95, by the way, if I didn't mention that already. That's from, I think, Nitecore store. I didn't check Amazon, but also like Battery Junction, some other places. It's pretty, steady price across the board. So figure about 70 bucks, maybe you get a deal, you get it for 60. But the two negatives to me, I like all the features. First let's talk about the positive. I do like the fact that we have the, the search thing and then the shield. That's kind of cool. Best of both worlds. Some lights are all flood, some are all throw. This you have both, which is fantastic. And also obviously the lower light modes is nice too. I like the physical lockout. I think that's fantastic, specifically because the head gets so hot, but just in general, it's just kind of cool. If you got kids laying around, you want to throw it in a bag or something, not worry about this accidentally, dying on you. Essentially, when you put a flashlight in a bag and it stays on, you're not necessarily worried about the bag catching fire. In this case, maybe that's a concern, but it's more so like, hey, I need my flashlight, and oh no, it's dead because it's been on this whole time. No one wants that. So a physical switch, an on-off button, essentially, that accesses the power is fantastic. That's great. The two negatives to the light, again, the head gets crazy, crazy hot, like you could burn yourself if you touch it. And I'm talking like a minute to 2 minutes of that full 4,000 lumen output. That's when it gets screaming hot. Normally, when using a flashlight, even if you're using the full output on it, you know, you turn your light on, maybe you got 15, 20 seconds, you're looking at something, you know, maybe 30 seconds or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, that's normal usage for me anyway. I'm doing something, I'm looking at something, I'm scanning an area, I'm searching for something. Oh, I found it, that's it, I'm done. I don't necessarily have a pocket light I'm keeping on for 10 minutes straight. If I want to do that, I can absolutely lower the power and it's a non-issue. But this thing gets hot. Well, you know, there's warnings on all kinds of flashlights and sometimes it's a joke because it doesn't really get hot. This really gets hot. Please be aware of that, okay? Now, the only other negative with this thing is this is running on an internal 18650. It's 4,000 milliamp hour, but as far as I know, it's not removable. So you're gonna use the light, you're gonna deplete it, you're gonna charge it, you're gonna use it. Maybe it lasts you 2-3 years. Eventually, the battery's just not gonna charge anymore and the light is garbage at that point because you don't have access to swap out the batteries. Some people care, some people don't care. For the most part, you know, people who own these flashlights, they're using them occasionally, you're carrying them a lot, you're always prepared, but you're not necessarily using them day in and day out. If you're using a day in and day out type flashlight, this one's not for you. I think that for, you know, survival lights, for the apocalypse and your bob bags and, you know, long-term survival type stuff, emergency type stuff, you do want interchangeable batteries. You do not want an internal battery. But for just the common everyday use in normal society, there's no issues there. Again, you can use this light for many years before it becomes an issue. But I did want to mention that because for some people that is an issue. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So let me know what you think. Again, that is the Nitecore EDC33. Rolls off the tongue really nice. EDC33. I like it. I think it's cool. It has some different features there, and it's somewhat reasonably priced. You know, you can get flashlights into the hundreds of dollars, and those are for just serious collectors and you know, users of expensive stuff. 70 bucks, pretty common for a good high-end flashlight. Again, the capability of 4,000 lumens is pretty nice. But for me, the big sell is the physical lockout on this and the fact that you can switch very easily from all throw to all flood. That's fantastic. I think that's cool. So let me know in the comment section what you think of it. Let me know if you happen to have a Nitecore EDC33 and what you think of yours. But I'm pretty impressed. Again, the hot thing, that's huge for me. The internal battery, not as much because I happen to have hundreds of flashlights, so I don't care. If you have 2 flashlights, it might be a concern for you. But for me, the biggest concern is don't burn my hand when I'm using my flashlight. It seems silly that your tool can become something dangerous, right? So use some caution with this one. Just a heads up. That's all. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I'll see you tomorrow with a brand new video. Take care.